Now let's update you on the deepening corruption scandal that is rocking Turkey. Well, today the government dismissed 15 provincial police chiefs a day after sacking hundreds of officers in Ankara. These dismissals follow a corruption investigation by police into political allies of Prime Minister Erdogan. Mr. Erdogan says the investigation is a plot to topple the government. Let's take you to the BBC's Turkish newsroom. Charlotte Whale is there for us. What's being said there, Charlotte? A huge story in Turkey today.
Yeah, a huge story, Lucy. It seems to be a real situation of tit for tat emerging between the Turkish government and police. And you've mentioned that hundreds of police were sacked yesterday in the capital, but a lot more happened on Tuesday, and we can bring up a list of exactly what happened. So 25 businessmen and state officials were detained by police after a separate corruption scandal across 5 cities. Later on that day, top policemen involved in that investigation were dismissed from their posts. And also on Tuesday, the Supreme Board of judges and prosecutors who appoint the country's judiciary, they decided to investigate Istanbul's new police chief. So it's all exposing a real separation of powers within the country. And now I'll bring in Celine Geret from BBC Turkish to talk about this. And Celine, you wrote an article yesterday saying that commentators are calling Turkey a state in crisis. Is it becoming that bad?
Actually, it seems as bad as that. Tit for tat is exactly the term people have started using about what's going on in Turkey. The government says one thing and does one thing, and in retaliation, this Gülen movement, the movement that is following this Islamist cleric.
The anti-government movement?
Well, not anti-government exactly, but this person in Pennsylvania. So his movement against Erdogan, there is a retaliation war going on, and this is with the separation of powers. The principle of separation of powers doesn't seem contact anymore in Turkey, so it looks like a state in crisis, people say.
So how will all these issues be resolved? And when we've got general elections next year, how will this be resolved if there is this divide?
We have general elections next year, and we have local elections in 2 months, and the presidential election this summer. So 3 elections coming up, but no one actually knows how this crisis will be resolved in the near future, or in the future, long future. No one really knows,
Celine,
has an answer to that.
We will leave you there. Now we're going to have a look at how this is all being reported by the media within Turkey. And I can come over here to Çal Kasapolo. She's also here for BBC Turkish. Çal, let's have a look at what's making headlines in the papers.
Sure. Here we have Zaman, which is pro-Gülen movement paper, and at the current stance it's anti-government. And the headline is an interview done with a former prosecutor who's been dismissed after a postmodern coup, as it's been called. So it makes a reference to the role of the military. And it says, it was in 1997, 28th of February, it says the sorrow of the 28th of February will not be repeating itself, we hope it says.
And what about other papers circulating?
And we have Yeni Şafak, which is a pro-government paper, and it makes reference to the role of judiciary, and it says it supports the attempt of the current government's attempt to take full control of the judiciary.
Okay, now what about social media? There's been a lot on Twitter and Facebook.
Yes, that's true. It's been quite heavily debated on the social media as well. There are hashtags being generated from both sides. Here we see, for instance, Active Sabır, which is believed to be generated by the Gülen movement supporters, and it says active patience. And the follower says, let's wait and see how things will be cleared up. And again, there's another hashtag, for instance, being again trending topic. Prime Minister Erdogan, stand still, stand firm, we are behind you. So the people is supporting you. So this is being a huge debate now going on in social media.
Okay, and you mentioned to me as well, there's a bit of humour as well circulating.
Yes, because everything is now changing from one moment to another. It's a dazzling event now. So there is now making sense of humour being used to make references to the current harsh political events.
Okay, as with similar things like this. Well, there you go, Lucy. We do have presidential elections later in this year, and then general elections next year. So we'll see how this all pans out before that.
Charlotte, thanks for joining us with our colleagues there from BBC.